And while the Knoxville Raceway can be a heartbreaker at times, a checkered flag here is the dream of all sprint car drivers.
This is where everybody wants to come and race sometime in their lifetimes, where you dream of. It's like going to the Daytona 500. It's like going to the Indy 500.
And it means a lot just to say, yeah, I've conquered Knoxville and beat 120 drivers around this place.
It's Knoxville. It's, you know, the Daytona of sprint car racing.
Best 360 drivers and cars in the country are here, and you know, hopefully we can put everything together tonight and get the Speedway motor car up front.
It is a gorgeous summer evening here in South Central Iowa as 120 of the best 360 sprint car drivers on the planet have gathered at the sprint car racing capital of the world, Knoxville, for the Knoxville 360 Nationals. Hi everybody, I'm Ralph Shaheen alongside my broadcasting colleague Brad Doty, and we are ready for the 360 Nationals, and this is a pressure-packed week, Brad. What are these guys up against tonight if they want to win?
Well, I'll tell you, Ralph, it's hard enough to win a weekly race here at Knoxville. Then you add in this many cars at a race like this, pressure is the key right here. If you're not in the A-main already, all these guys trying to lead up to it, they've got the pressure of racing their way in, watching the racetrack. Those in the A-main, they've got to watch the track all night. They have the pressure of keeping up with it, making sure they have the right setup for the A-main.
Well, let's begin it with some racing right off the bat. We'll go to some of the drivers who are not already qualified for the A-main. We'll begin with our first feature tonight, the C-main event. And let's take a look at tonight's starting lineup, Brad, beginning with row number 1, the 5SP of Ricky Favre and John Kern in the 83B. Making our way back through row 2, Brett Mather and Eric Baldacini making up that row. Now, Brad, as we look back through the rest of the field here about how some of these drivers are still trying to transfer into tonight's B feature event. 2 cars will transfer out of tonight's C feature. This is a 12-lap race. What do these guys try to do now? Obviously, you try to get to one of those 2 spots, but it gets tougher.
Very tough, and we see some cars on the back that have transferred up through from the D main. Travis Rylett had a great run. Now he's in the back, but they're going to have cautions fall their way. They're going to have to keep the field bunched up. If they go green all the way and these cars get stretched out, the guys in the back really have no hope really of getting up through there.
Lining up, getting set to go racing. 12 laps, top 2 will transfer. How do you deal with that nervous energy, Brad?
Well, right now, a lot of that energy is gone. It's leading up to it, Ralph, when you're strapping into that race car or you're watching the races prior to this. Once you're at this point and you're strapped in that race car, there's some butterflies rolling around your stomach, but you got to focus on what you have to do and try to. The first lap, this first corner is going to be critical, Ralph. We've seen so often before here at Knoxville, the format, the way it is, you've got to. They say you can't win the race on the first lap, but you can sure lose it. Something can happen. But here, if you can pass a bunch of race cars going into turn 1, that's the slowest corner, the slowest lap of the race, you can gain a lot of positions right there.
All right, here we go. C feature. Getting ready to go. Coming to the green flag, and we're underway with the first race of the night. Kearney with a big jump, pretty much disappearing from the rest of the field in the 83B.
He was a winner here last week on Saturday night here weekly at Knoxville. He knows his way around this racetrack.
Competition closing right back up on him. That's the red 5J of Larry Ball Jr. And here comes Kerry Madsen in the 55, a driver who has a lot of laps around this racetrack. That's that black car. Madsen running back in 3rd right now, or 4th position. Now up to 3rd. He got around Ricky. That gives him 3rd position.
And he started in the 4th row inside, so he's already gaining a lot of positions.
He needs one more if he wants a transfer spot. Here comes Larry Ball on the bottom in the red 5J, sliding up into the lead. Kearney drifts back 1 spot, but that would be good for a ticket on to the B feature tonight.
Look at everybody running around the bottom of the racetrack right now. A lot of moisture down there. You can see it's kind of slick through the middle, but it's kind of surprising not more guys running the high side of the racetrack.
Here comes Madsen up to take second place now in that black 55. So Kearney, who had a pretty good lead right from the opening lap, has drifted back to third and basically out of the rest of the night at this point.
Well, Kerry Madsen, you mentioned they're leading the 410 points here weekly at Knoxville. Another guy that definitely knows his way around this racetrack. Had some front end damage last night. One of the preliminaries, that's what put him back in this C main.
Remember, the 410 sprint cars run the bigger motors in them, more powerful than what you're seeing here tonight. Basically, though, they look identical. There's your race leader, Larry Ball Jr.
You can see it right there. Madsen now has moved to the top and is gaining on him.
Coming quickly is Kerry Madsen, but they're also catching up to traffic. How's that going to come into play?
Well, sometimes when you're running second, it's an advantage because you just go where the leader doesn't.
Boy, Madsen gained up a lot of ground through that section. Here they come up the front straightaway. Just a handful of laps to go. 4 circuits left to go around the famed half mile here at the Marion County Fairground.
Right to the right of the screen there is Madsen. You see him, there's 2 lap cars right in front of the leader Ball. Ball gets sideways right there, but Madsen not able to capitalize on it. Now the lap cars have kind of opened up. They were running side by side, but really pinched off Madsen there.
Big advantage for Larry Ball Jr. That lap car didn't know that Kerry Madsen was coming as quick as he was. He blocked him off, and boy, Madsen lost a lot of ground.
And you see some smoke out of Madsen's car. I believe that's just out of the breather of the oil tank, but there's some smoke coming out of the left side of Madsen's car.
Remember, the B feature comes up pretty quickly. Well, does it look like Larry Ball slowed down dramatically off of 2? But now he's got the momentum going again. That's going to allow Madsen to close back in. He's right up stop, and he's going to come around the outside. Oh, and it looks like Larry Ball's going to get blocked by the 3 of Dave Ely. White flag is out with 1 to go. Coming to the checkered flag. Larry Ball on the bottom has a slim lead. Can he hold him to the line? He gets it. Larry Ball Jr. gets the win. Kerry Madsen will take second place. The 2 of them will go on to the B feature, which is coming up momentarily. John Kearney, who led early on, ends up third, 1 spot out of it. Jason Danley finishes in 4th. Stay with us here on Speed Channel. We're coming right back to the Marion County Fairgrounds and the famed Knoxville Raceway with more of the 360 Nationals after this. The 2005 Knoxville 360 Nationals are being brought to you by the Knoxville Raceway, the sprint car capital of the world. Welcome back to Knoxville Raceway, the famed half mile of dirt here in Knoxville, Iowa, that is arguably the sprint car capital of the world. And already we've run our C feature, and we've seen Larry Ball Jr. take the checkered flag. Kerry Madsen finishes in second. They will both transfer out of the C main into the B main. Well, let's introduce you to the 2 men that'll be covering the action down in the infield for us tonight, beginning with Dave Argabright.
Thank you, Ralph. You know, the interesting thing about the 360 Nationals, it really is a national feel. The body language these guys have, the crew chiefs, the nervousness, the tension, and the fact that everybody's got their good stuff here, there's just an elevation of the emotion that you always see here at Knoxville. It's a really special event, and I think we'll see some really special performances before the night is over. And now let's go to my colleague, Tony Bachhoven, who has tonight's C-Main winner. Tony?
Thanks, Dave. And tonight our C-Main winner had a lot of pressure on him. He started 6th in the C-Main, and tonight, Larry, you've made your way into the transfer spot. You won your C-Main, you're into the B-Main tonight.
Yeah, it becomes a lot of work from here. We're going to try to keep the Vanguard Construction Exec 1 Aviation car up. Do the best we can. Realistically, the beat's tough, and we've got some experience over the years, so we're going to try to do the best we can. Last night we had a problem with the shifter cable. It kept us from being locked in the A, so we're just going to go out and do the best we can.
Tonight, starting back that far in your C-Main event, you got tied up behind some lap cars, allowed Madsen to close in on you. Were you worried about him able to get by you?
Oh, yeah, I was worried about Madsen right from the get-go. Main thing is just the transfer. So first or second, I guess we closed him down a couple times, and I never really did see him. You get in lap traffic, and you try not to wait on anything and try to go. And Madsen's a master in traffic, so yeah, I would expect him to close up on us.
Good luck tonight.
Thanks, guys.
Let's go back upstairs.
All right, Tony, thanks. That word pressure, it is going to pop up all night long because that is what Knoxville on a regular basis is all about. But when you get to one of the two big national events here, boy, it is just incredible the amount of pressure these drivers and teams are under. Stay with us. We're coming back for the C or the B after this. Welcome back to Knoxville Raceway. Speed Channel bringing you coverage of the Knoxville 360 Nationals here tonight from the famed Marion County Raceway. Well, we already had some racing here last night, setting up a lot of the lineups that you're seeing take place here tonight. Let's begin by showing you the first of two A features that took place here just last night. On the pole is the white 1Z of Dusty Zomer. Brad, he got off to a good start.
He really did. He pulled away from every restart they had earlier in the race. Look at that. He just pulled away from the whole field at that point.
But he would eventually lose the lead to that white 99. And on lap 10, Kurt Michael and that one white 99 had a little company when Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and the 40R got together with him. Then on lap 15, watch this. The 56 of Lauren Langerud, the black car, thinks he has the lead, but watch what happens with Dusty Zomer here. This is a slight job gone bad, Brad.
Zomer did not clear him, as you see it there. Nasty crash by Langerud, but he was okay.
Fortunately, Lauren was able to walk away from that. Not happy, but he walked away. Lap 19, Gary Wright in the black car takes a slide job shot at Zomer, can't get it done, and Dusty Zomer goes on to take his first career A feature win here at Knoxville. That's a big deal.
It was a big deal. He was a very happy man after that one was over.
There's a look at the 1Z down there in the pit area. Dusty will be racing with us a little bit later on this evening in tonight's A feature. Here's our Dave Argabright.
Kerry Madsen comes a long way to race here at Knoxville Raceway, all the way from Sydney, Australia. Now, you happen to be leading the 410 division here every Saturday night in points, but this weekend's been a struggle. What's up?
Yeah, we drew in the first heat, and there was absolutely no passing, and we got ourselves into the A, and then we broke in the A, so we just got no points. So we're just going to see what we can get out of this deal, and, you know, hopefully if things go our way, we can get up there.
Now, they call you the Madman for Madsen. What do you think of that nickname?
I used to get mad once in a while, but I'm now the mild man, so just take it easy. I don't get mad anymore too much.
The mild man. I ain't buying it.
All right, Dave, thank you very much. Well, the pits are a little quiet right now as they're getting the B feature lined up and getting ready to go racing with that. We will have that for you momentarily here on Speed Channel. Drivers are strapped in for the B, getting ready, waiting for the push trucks to send them off. We'll be back with more from Knoxville after this. Welcome back to Knoxville, everybody. Speed Channel's coverage of the Knoxville 360 Nationals continuing. Got a lot of racing yet to go here tonight. Ralph Shaheen alongside Brad Doty. And Brad, we've had 120 sprint cars here racing for a couple of days. How do you expect the track to come in tonight?
Well, generally on a two-day event or a multi-day event, the second night is usually drier. I mean, you've got a lot of cars pounding on this racetrack, but the crew's done a great job. Now, earlier on these races, it was a little narrow. The groove wasn't very high because there was a lot of moisture in the track. I think the track's just going to get wider as the race is going.
Well, tonight in our coverage of the Knoxville 360 Nationals, you're seeing the C, the B, and the A features. Well, earlier tonight, they ran the F, the E, and the D feature. Here's Tony Bakoven with the story.
Guys, we've had some drivers working really hard to get into tonight's last chance features. Let's get right to the highlights. Starting off with the F main and front row starters Kent Walters in the 1 and Eric Lutz in the 5. They'll battle early and side by side into turn number 1. On lap 3, Kent Walters takes control and secures his spot in the E feature. Eric Lutz comes home second. Chris Morgan, Nick Smith, Alan Zoot, Glenn Stiers, Jeff Van Dusen, Josh Close, Dan Thornburg, and Jimmy Taylor round out your top 10. A big field of cars in the E main. The 3V of Nate Van Haften, the 3NZ of Jamie McDonald, the 4M of Toby Brown battle hard in turns 1. Brown goes to the inside of Van Haften, off of turn 2 and down to back chute. Yellow on lap 5 for the Y5 of Mike Hausman Jr. This gives us a restart and another chance for Toby Brown, who's in second. He's chasing Jamie McDonald in turn 2, but not for long, as McDonald has trouble down the back chute, and Brown takes the lead into turn 3 and comes off turn 4 and takes the checkers. Nate Van Haften second, Sean Walton, Brett Geltner, Dustin Selvage, Eddie Levin Jr., Jeff Van Dusen, Kerry McAllister, Matt Harms, and Lee Sowell round out your top 10. Another big field of cars in the D main event. Travis Rylett getting ready to pass Luke Cranston on lap number 3, and this will put himself into a transfer position. Lap 11 was good for car number 11 as Roger Crockett works into the lead, and off turn 4, he's going to look at the big checkered flag and take the win. Travis Rylett second, Chuck Swenson, Dustin Daggett, Luke Cranston, Jeff Cook, Gregor Phillips, Gavin Punch, Adam West, and Pete Krall round out the top 10. Well, great job to all those drivers for making the transfer into the features. You know, a lot of times we have people ask us the difference between a 360 and a 410 sprint car. Well, earlier today, our Brad Doty had a chance to spend some time with Zach Chappell in his pit area. Let's go and see what Brad found out.
Behind me are 2 sprint cars, a 410 here, a 360 here. Now, if you look at these race cars, they are virtually identical. The difference you can't see is under the hood. The 360 uses a cast iron block, putting out about 650 horsepower. The 410 aluminum block, about 800 to 850 horsepower, but about $10,000 more dollars. Now, the 360 cubic inch, the horsepower isn't limited to just cubic inch. They also have to run a spec head and a smaller fuel injector. I've been told by a lot of people, it doesn't matter if it's Joe's Garage down the street or one of the best racing engine builders in the country. Because of the limits to the heads, all these engines put out within about 10 to 15 horsepower of each other. Now, they also have to run a spec right rear tire that has created some great side-by-side racing. But don't get me wrong, these cars are fire-breathing, methanol-burning, full-out sprint cars. That's why they have their own nationals right here at Knoxville.
Well, stay with us, folks. We've got a lot more great racing action coming up next. We'll be back to the Knoxville 360 Nationals.
There's a good look at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum outside of turn number 2 here at Knoxville Raceway in Knoxville, Iowa. We are just outside of Des Moines, Iowa, about 30 to 40 minutes, depending on how you drive, whether it's me or my colleague Brad Doty over here. Mr. Doty, it might be 15 minutes. It is a wonderful place, and of course you can see all the folks sitting in the suites enjoying the night's racing activities here on the famed half mile. Well, the B feature cars are out. We will take 4 cars from here to tag the back of the A main, and this is a 15-lap affair. You got 15 laps to earn one of those 4 tickets on to tonight's A main event. All right, well, let's give you a look at tonight's starting grid for the B main event. Bronson Mason will be on the pole in number 96. Sam Hafferty in the 15 car will line up alongside of him. Row 2, Jonathan Allard and Nick Mulheim will make up that row. In row 3, it's Matt Morrow and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. As we take a look at the rest of the field here tonight, Brad. We saw how difficult it was just getting through the C, but every time you advance to the next round, it just gets tougher and tougher and tougher the farther up the field you get.
Well, it absolutely does. It's going to be interesting to watch Kerry Madsen, who just transferred out of that C main, coming from the rear, but Gary Lee Meyer starting deep in the field. He started 21st, was up to 4th last night in the A main and ran out of fuel. So he's deep in the field, so it's going to be really interesting to watch and see if Gary Lee Meyer and or Madsen can come from the back.
One of the best when it comes to not just 360 racing, but a great sprint car driver himself. Quite possibly a lock for a spot in that Hall of Fame and museum over there whenever he decides to hang him up.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and I'm just looking through the field here. Jonathan Allard, who's in the second row, we talk about the guys in the back. He has 9 wins in 8 seconds on the West Coast now with a 410, but he's here in Maury Williams' 0 car. They've been fast, so it is going to be a hard B main for these guys. Some of them in the back to get up through here. We're going to have to be a little careful in this first couple laps.
Drivers literally from all over the world here racing with us this weekend in Knoxville. Drivers from Canada, from down under in New Zealand and Australia, from the East Coast to West Coast and throughout the Midwest, all racing here trying to earn one of the most prestigious titles in all of sprint car racing, the Knoxville 360 Nationals. Of course, working the flag stand for us tonight is a father-son combination, the Clarks. Doug Clark, a longtime flag man. That's Doug in the jacket. And just in front of him, his son Justin, and they trade off. And Here's a good look at Justin, who's getting great training from quite possibly one of the best flagmen in the business, wouldn't you say?
And some of the biggest flags you'll see anywhere. Notice how big those are. They have their own flags, and they are huge.
And they are not afraid to use them.
Especially that black flag.
No,
They
yes,
will
sir.
use that black flag. You don't get away with anything here.
Small point, but the bigger the flag, probably the better. In even a great safety thing. A small thing, but a huge thing.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a lot of workout for those guys. I mean, their forearms and things, those flags are heavy, but from the driver's standpoint, yes, that flag being bigger like that is definitely, at these speeds here at Knoxville, a lot easier to see.
All right, here we go. 15 laps, 4 drivers transferring on to the main event. We're green. Hoffman turn 2 and down the backstretch we go with Bronson Mason out front. Mason will lead him across the line. Tucking in behind him is Jonathan Allard in the 0X.
Boy, but you can see behind him, there's a whole gaggle of cars back there, really 3 and 4, 5 wide back there, trying to make their way up through.
You cannot waste time at all in this event, Brad. If you want one of those 4 spots, you got to get going. Bronson Mason, Jonathan Allard, Ricky Stenhouse, and Sam Hafferty all have one of those positions right now. Here comes a challenge. Hafferty working on the inside of Ricky Stenhouse. Stenhouse in that red machine on the outside. And Hafferty trying to get him a run in the white and blue 15.
Now Stenhouse had gotten started behind him and has gotten by him. There is Ricky Stenhouse, a young man leading the USCS Mid-South Series.
Now we go back to Bronson Mason up front, the 96 out of Pleasantville, Iowa. 10th in Knoxville points in just his 2nd season racing on this big half mile, and not an easy track to get acclimated to.
Now the speeds are incredible here. So you get a little sideways right there, missed the bottom a little bit, and that you can see right there, Allard catching him big time off the bottom.
Jonathan Allard in that white 0X. Here he comes, a driver out of Chico, California, from Northern California. Took over the Maury Williams car for the ailing Dennis Moore Jr. And we were talking about that earlier today. What a big disappointment that is for Dennis Moore Jr., but a great turn of events for Jonathan Allard.
Allard was in the 35 car, running the World of Outlaws on and off, lost that ride, and like I said, got in the Z. When it opened the door for him, he took advantage of it. Many, many wins, as I said earlier, and really filling the shoes there.
And Allard doing a great job on the West Coast. He's 5th in the Golden State Championship points with 4 wins, and that's not an easy series to run that solid in.
Now you see Allard kind of moving up. Mason had gotten really sideways in turn 3 and let Dennis Moore, Jonathan Allard actually close in behind him, and now Mason able to pull away a little bit.
Yeah, behind them, Mason and Allard still running 1 and 2. Ricky Stenhouse still holds down 3rd, but Sam Hafferty has lost the final transfer to Johnny Anderson in the 7A. So the lap's winding down here with 7 to go, the scheduled 15.
And Kerry Matson, who I talked about earlier, up to 9th place from the rear. Gary Lee Meyer up to 7th.
Which is a tremendous run when you consider the fact that 22 cars started this race, but he's running out of steam and time.
Remember earlier I said they're going to need some caution laps, and that's what they need right now. The guys in the back need some laps to bunch this field up. They're getting too strung out.
While we continue to watch the battle for the lead, Mason just hanging in there, stringing it out. Allard will close in again, but we'll see if he can make anything happen with about 5 to go.
When I saw Mason get really sideways down in 3 and 4 a few laps ago, I thought, boy, his car is extremely loose, but he's changed his line. He's adjusted his driving style and is maintaining the lead.
Well, that's the key to dirt track racing. No 2 laps are ever the same because the surface is constantly changing. What direction does it look like the track is going tonight? As Allard dives to the bottom in turn 3. Is he mounting a challenge again with 4 laps to go? Make it 3 this time across, and we've got a lead change. The driver from Chico, California, the new leader here in the B main. But for how long? Here comes Mason back on the bottom and can't get it done.
Just not enough traction off of turn 2 on the bottom, and Mason could not get back by. But just as I said, oh, he gets sideways again. How I said he had changed his line. Oh, a couple cars together there.
That's Anderson in that red 7A. And it looks like he gets together with the 6 of Mike Dussel, who was a lap car. Dussel was running next to last, and Anderson had the final transfer spot all locked up. And then he brings out the yellow flag, and that'll give David Hall a shot in the 51 who sits back in 5th, 1 spot out of a transfer, and right behind him, Gary Lee Meyer, who we talked about is such a great driver. He sits in 6th position, and he'll have a shot. He needs 2 spots to get the transfer. Stay with us to see if he can get it done when we come back to Knoxville. Welcome back to Knoxville, Iowa, the sprint car capital of the world, the Knoxville Raceway. Well, last night here at Knoxville, they ran some preliminary races, setting up tonight's starting lineups. Let's take you back to the second of 2 A features run here last night, where on the pole was the 50Z of Zach Chappell, the white and red car. But watch that yellow 22. Billy Alley came storming through the field at the beginning.
Goes through the middle of 1 and 2 right there, has a run down the back straightaway. Takes the lead coming out of turn 4.
By lap 2, he was out in front and starting to pull away. And even when they got into traffic, as you'll see here as we move on to lap number 9, nobody or nothing was tough enough to beat or stop Billy Alley on this night. He ended up taking the win. Even in his heat races, Billy Alley was certainly one of the toughest cars out on the field. You can see him coming from the back of the pack. Now in his heat, Brad, he didn't get the win, but he did get all the way to second.
Well, and they get passing points. Every car they pass is 1.5 points. He passed a lot of race cars in that heat race.
And that's how you work your way through to a good feature start in the A main and set yourself up for a great run here on the final night of competition. Billy Alley, second in his heat, winner of his feature, and getting ready to go racing here tonight. He stands by with our Dave Argabright.
Last night, the big guy was Billy Alley, sitting right here with me. You just spanked him in your A feature. Now, you've had your warm-up session. Tell me about your race car and this racetrack.
Yeah, last night the car was really good. And, you know, we got out front and got into the clean air, and, you know, it was our kind of a racetrack. And tonight it's a really racy track. And, you know, we start on the pole tonight, but there's some tough cars behind us. So hopefully I can get out in clean air and you know, fill the racetrack out and run our race.
You told me a moment ago after your hot lap session, you're going to change a great deal on the race car. Is the track different than what you anticipated?
Well, we had a tire that was out of balance. It was from last night we ran it, and you know it kind of threw the car off. So, you know, we'll have to change some things with that, and I think we'll tighten the car up. I thought it was going to be a little heavier than it actually is out there, but you know it's a really racy track, and you know hopefully we can get it right, because if we don't, there's only one way we can go. So hopefully we can stay where we start.
Is it a big relief to you to start up front like that on the pole?
It is and it isn't. It makes you kind of nervous because, you know, at Knoxville, the track changes so much. You know, in this 25-lap feature, the track's going to change a lot. And if you get out front and you're just driving around, you can't really see what's going on behind you. You know, a guy behind you that's searching around, passing cars, can maybe find a little faster line. So, you know, hopefully we can, like I said, get out in clean air and the thing goes from stop to finish, and, you know, we'll be all right.
Earlier in the year, you got an opportunity to race for another team, and that didn't work out, and you were released, and you're back in the family car. Was that a learning experience for you? I mean, you're only in your 4th year of racing, and I guess that's a part of it, but emotionally, how do you handle that?
Oh, it was huge for me. I mean, I learned a tremendous, you know, amount of not only, you know, driving for somebody else, but having the car set up totally different than what I'm used to. And you know, I got more used to, I guess, the business part of racing. You know, I'm used to running my own deal and doing my own thing to call my own shots. But, you know, it was a great learning experience, and I hope I get the opportunity again.
Tonight, the education continues for Billy Alley as he's going for 2 in a row. Ralph?
All right, Dave, thanks. And we'll be getting a look at Billy Alley momentarily here, but we got to wrap up this B main. Jonathan Allard leads it. Bronson Mason, Ricky Stenhouse, and Johnny Anderson all have transfer spots locked up. Gary Lee Meyer is 1 spot out of it in the 11X. Can he get it done? There he is, the white car. Coming to the green, we'll have 2 to go. Sliding out of turn number 2 and down the back straightaway goes Jonathan Allard. Ricky Stenhouse working the outside. Here comes Gary Lee Meyer trying to get a spot.
Yeah, unfortunately for Myers, he had a lap car in there.
White flag is out, and we got a great battle for the lead and a change at the front. It looks like Ricky Stenhouse has gotten around Jonathan Allard, but Allard trying to bounce back on the bottom side. They're locked into tonight's A, but they're just battling for ego and pride, and Allard's going to get it done. Jonathan Allard holds him off at the line. Stenhouse will join him in tonight's A main event. Bronson Mason gets a transfer. So does Johnny Anderson. David Hall and Gary Lee Meyer will both see their trip to the 360 Knoxville Nationals come to a close. Stay with us. The biggest race in the world of sprint cars for 360s coming up from Knoxville after this on Speed.
He's one of the most respected names here at Knoxville Raceway for the 360 Nationals. A great name in all of sprint car racing. Gary Wright from Hooks, Texas. You've won this race a number of times. You've ran well here at Knoxville. What's going to be the secret tonight? You start 10th.
Well, you know, starting 5th row, Billy Alley's on the pole. He's going to be tough to catch. He was fast last night. But, you know, we got a good race car. I think we just hot lapped and it was good. So I think we got a shot.
Now you enjoy coming up here. You talked about that last night, that this is a place you like to visit, and you've had some success here. You're I don't want to say winding down your career. You're still very fast. You've got a great season going. In fact, you were honored a minute ago for your 100th ASCS win, which is a great accomplishment. Are the wins now more sweet, Gary, at this stage of your career?
You know, I think they are. I'm 46 now, and Father Time's catching up, but we're still winning. And I'll race at least till I'm 50 as long as we're still competitive, and we are. But, yeah, the 100th win, it was good just to get it out of the way. We've got almost a 40% win rate with ASCS, and that's a tough circuit when you're drawing every night, starting 5th row some nights. But it's tough. I'm proud of that.
You know, 4 years, age 50, you'll be eligible for the Sprint Car Hall of Fame. Thinking forward, any thoughts about that sort of an honor? I think you're a lock on a first ballot entry, but your thoughts?
Well, that would be nice. Yeah, and that's the greatest compliment. And I think we've won enough outlaw races and all-star races and NCRA races and AS to get there. So that'll be special. That'll be very special.
You'd be hard-pressed to find anybody more respected in the pit area than this guy here. He kidded us last night that he's pushing 21. He's pushed it a ways, I would say that. But look for Gary Wright coming from 10th, another great racer we love to see here at Knoxville Raceway. Let's go to Tony Bachhoven.
Well, another driver that had his work cut out for him in the B main was Jonathan Allard. And Jonathan, you had to change your lines a couple times to get around Bronson. Once you got there, was the top or the bottom where you wanted to be?
Well, I wanted to try out both parts of the track. We've had a lot of help from a local here, Dennis Moore Jr., the regular driver of the Zero car. And he's been helping me a lot. He's got a lot of laps here. I don't have that many, maybe a handful of laps. And, the track was good on the top, but the bottom was still there, and it was a bit faster. And he was in the line that I needed to be in, so I changed my line, and we did a very good job coming up to the front.
Once you got by Bronson, then Ricky Stenhouse came up there for a short bit. Where did you want to be? Did you think you had to stay on the bottom to hold him off, or did you think the car was good enough that you could go back to the top if you had to?
Well, I knew I just needed to focus on what I was doing and drive my own race and race the racetrack. You get busy racing other cars, and you seem to go backwards. It's a lesson I've learned running with the World Outlaws part-time last year, and Maury Williams of the Zero team here. They've given me a great car. Hopefully we can go to the front of the A.
You got most of your job done tonight, but now you got to go to the A. What changes are you going to make on the car?
Well, we'll probably tighten up the car quite a bit, and just because the track is getting a little slicker and we are in the back and we have to do a little bit better of a job to come to the front with the fast cars up front, and we're just going to give it a shot and see what we can do.
Good luck tonight.
Thank you very much.
Let's go back up to Ralph and Brad.
All right, Tony, thank you. And there's a good look at that National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. The suites are the top 2 rows on both sides, and down below is another row of rooms that they use at the Hall of Fame, and it's down below that where all the cars are. It's really like a 4-story building over there.
Yeah, that's where all the good stuff is, all the good old race cars.
So what's in there? Well, this is what's in there. A lot of really cool race cars from a variety of eras and from all over the country. It's not just what raced here. It truly is a National Sprint Car Hall of Fame. Here's a good look at John Gerber's garage. And this is one of the cool things. They've actually just rebuilt these dioramas over there. Bob Trossel's got one over there as well.
Yeah, they kind of replicated the garage or what it looked like. I mean, that just takes you back in time. And, man, there's one of Wolfgang's
4X there, yeah.
Yeah, old
Great
cars.
Wolfgang.
Not too long ago, Sammy Swindell's car there, the TMC car there.
That was one of my favorite looking sprint cars. There's something about that black car with that gold lettering on there, slamming Sammy Swindell's car. Was such a pretty race car, and he just kept it immaculate.
Always pristine. I mean, polished. Everything was chromed and polished.
I got a black street car, and I can't keep it clean. Here he was racing a black sprint car on dirt, and that thing was just impeccable every time he unloaded it off the trailer. And, one of the things, Brad, we saw Dave talking with Gary right there, and Gary was saying he thinks all those wins in those different divisions are what's going to get him into that Hall of Fame. I'll tell you what, it's not that. It's those 10 championships he's already locked up, and the 11th he's probably going to win here this year.
Well,
that's going to put him in there.
As far as I know, he's the only guy that's ever won a World of Outlaws, an All-Star, an NCRA, and an ASCS race in one season. I mean, the guy has done it all. He's very versatile.
Well, another driver who's a champion at this very venue, a former 360 Series champion, is standing by with Dave Argabright.
You know, Brian Brown grew up around this place watching his uncle, Danny Lasowski, win a whole lot of races here. Now, you're having another fine season yourself, not just here at Knoxville, but throughout the Midwest. What does it mean to you at a track you grew up at to do well?
It has a lot of sentimental value. Like I said, like you said, Danny I watched him ever since I was knee-high to a grasshopper, and you know, this track means a lot to my heart. I grew up here, and you know, I wanna put this win, you know, in the trophy case for all my other trophies.
What about tonight? Do you have the right race car, the right racetrack? What will we expect from Brian Brown?
I tell you what, this Jolt Caffeine Energy Maxim is working great, and I can tell you what, I'm going to drive this thing as hard as she can for 25 laps, and we're not going to leave anything on the table, I guarantee that.
Now, I got to ask you this. You're having a really good year, probably your best year so far in your career. Uncle Danny, on the other hand, is really having a struggle with the Outlaws. Have you been calling him to offer to set up his race car and all of that kind of thing?
No, I tell you what, those boys are tough, and I'm having one of my best years, and he's having one of his worst years. So we're there for each other, you know, no matter how we're doing. And I guarantee you, next week I wouldn't bet on or wouldn't count against that 20 Bass Pro Maxim or Eagle. I'm sorry.
You got it right. You got it right. Brian Brown, he's going to be a guy to watch in this A-Main, and very much a local favorite. We wish him well.
Right, Dave, and yeah, you know what? Brownie's a tough character, but he's not that crazy to go calling Uncle Danny up and giving him a hard time about the type of year he's having.
No, absolutely not, because that's the neat thing, or in Danny's case, maybe the not so neat thing is about sprint car racing is you can win one night and get lapped the next. It's been so competitive all out throughout all the series around the United States, and it could just that switch could be flipped and they could be back on top again. And next week, as he said, don't count them out for the Nationals.
Yeah, and of course, as we said, Brownie is a former track champion here. His Uncle Danny, a 7-time track champion here, the winningest driver in the history of this famed speedway. So Brian Brown has a lot of experience here at Knoxville to feed off of. All right, we're getting closer. Stay with us. Welcome back to Knoxville Raceway. We're in South Central Iowa for the 360 Knoxville Nationals, and we are set for the big main event, the 25-lap feature for tonight's racing. Let's take you through the field and introduce you to the 24 cars starting the 360 Knoxville Nationals. Starting 24th out of Indianola, Iowa, he's second in the Knoxville 360 points here on a weekly basis. The driver of car 7A, Johnny Anderson. Starting 23rd here tonight, the driver of car number 96 from nearby Pleasantville, Iowa. He won his first Knoxville A feature just a couple of weeks back in July. Say hello to Bronson Mason. 22nd tonight is the driver of the 40R. He comes from Olive Branch, Mississippi, and he's just 17 years of age. He's a former National 360 Rookie of the Year, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Rolling off 21st tonight from Chico, California, he's the driver of the 0X. He's 5th in the Golden State Challenge points and the winner of tonight's B feature, Jonathan Allard. Moving up to the next row in 20th position, the driver of car 56 hails from Harwood, North Dakota. He's the winner of the 2004 Tournament of Champions right here in Knoxville, Lauren Langerud. 19th tonight, the driver comes from Norman, Oklahoma, filling in behind the wheel of the 14 AJ. He's a former World of Outlaws Rookie of the Year, Danny Wood. In 18th place tonight in the starting field, Stacy Alexander. Coming to the green flag in 17th position tonight will be the driver of the number 7N. He comes from nearby Oskaloosa, Iowa. He's 10th in the 2004 Knoxville Nationals last year. He's John Vandenberg. 16th in tonight's field is car number 99 out of Ocean View, Delaware. He's the reigning URC champion, Kurt Michael. 15th is the number D1 out of Palo, Iowa. They call him the Bulldog. He's a Sprint Invader points leader, Jesse Gianetto. Lining up 14th tonight, car number 24. From Des Moines, Iowa, with 3 wins here at Knoxville this season, Josh Higday. Another Iowa native will line up 13th tonight from Oskaloosa, Iowa, with 50 career wins. The driver, the number 10, Jeff Matrisson. Another East Coast star making his way out to fill 12th on the grid tonight. Car number 41 comes from Thomasville, Pennsylvania. A former feature winner here at Knoxville, Jason Johnson. '11th in tonight's lineup comes from Kansas City, Missouri. In just his second year of racing here at Knoxville is the driver of the 23X, Eric Jobe. Now we make our way up to row number 5 and one of the greatest names in 360 sprint car racing. The driver, the number 9, out of Hooks, Texas. He's a current ASCS points leader and a 10-time champion, Gary Wright. Lining up 9th comes the car out of California, Missouri. The Winged Outlaw Warriors points leader, car number 14, Randy Martin. To row number 4, from Prairie City, Iowa, a former karting champion. He's just 19 years of age, the 22N, Nate Mosher. Lining up 7th tonight, from Warsaw, Missouri, car number 75, the 21-year-old that they call the Rocket, Jesse Hockett. In row number 3, from Grain Valley, Missouri, he's starting 6th in tonight's field. He's a 2002 360 track champion here in Knoxville. They call him Brownie, Brian Brown. Rolling on 5th in the 7L out of Little Rock, Arkansas, with 7 career wins here in Knoxville, Ricky Logan in the 7L. Up to row number 2, a former ASCS champion out of Talala, Oklahoma. He's starting 4th in the 50Z, Zach Chappell. Starting alongside of him in the 1Z, 3rd on the grid, from Brandon, South Dakota, the 2004 Knoxville 360 Rookie of the Year, Dusty Zomer.
Dusty, yesterday, your birthday, your 20th birthday, wouldn't it be a great birthday present to win here tonight?
Yeah, you know, last night was great, especially on my birthday, and we'll see what we can get done tonight. We start close to the front and see what happens.
We wish you well. Good luck.
And the front row for tonight's 360 Knoxville Nationals, starting 2nd on the outside of row number 1 in the 57X out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, the reigning 360 Knoxville track and current 360 points leader, the 57X of Jake Peters.
Jake, you lead the Knoxville points. What about tonight? Can you get her done front row?
Well, we got a good shot at it. You know, you never know what you got, but, you know, we're going to give it a good go. I think we got a pretty decent car, and we got the right starting spot, so should be exciting.
He's stoked. Good luck.
And the man on the pole, the driver who won this event just last year from Lincoln, Nebraska, car number 22. He's a former Knoxville 360 track champion, Billy Alley. That's your starting lineup for tonight's 360 Knoxville Nationals. We'll take the green flag and find out who the winner is when we come back after this. Welcome back to the famed Knoxville Raceway here in Knoxville, Iowa. Getting closer to the start of the A feature. Let's head downstairs to meet one of the top crew chiefs, who's I'm sure Tony Bachhoven getting a little nervous.
That's right, Ralph and Brad. You guys talked earlier about being lucky and having the right car. Well, part of that's being able to read this racetrack. And tonight the cars in the A main have only had one chance to be on the racetrack. And Tyler Swank, crew chief for Ricky Logan. Tyler, you've only had one chance to be on the racetrack. This is your second. What did you learn from hot laps, and what are you going to do different to the car for the feature?
Well, our hot lap deal, we were pathetically loose, so we just tightened the car up. We got 25 laps to redeem ourselves.
Okay, you're starting pretty far up in the field. You guys run here on a weekly basis. Tonight, you're in a 360 compared to a 410. Anything different you had to do to get your driver ready?
Nah, the driver's good to go. It's more to get the crew chief up to speed on these 360s. This is only the second time I've ever worked on it, and you can't get them as tight as you can a 410. So, you know, just I've had to lay off the, you know, getting crazy with the setups and stuff. So it's been fun. We'll just see what happens.
Do you set the car up for short runs? Are you hoping for some yellows early on, or do you want it to go to the checkers from the green?
Whatever. It doesn't matter. You just set it up for the end.
Good luck tonight. Thanks. Let's go back upstairs.
Can he get this car as tight as he can the 410?
Because of the horsepower. As I said earlier, they're about 150 to 200 horsepower less than a 410. So when you get the car too tight, it bogs the engine down and the car wants to push more. So they do. It's a finer line on the setup of getting the car to roll the corner nice but still get forward traction.
That's the onboard camera from that car right there. That was a look at our John Deere camera from Gary Wright's cockpit, the famed number 9. There's another look at it. Gary will be giving us this view tonight as he works his way through the field. Starting in 10th, we'll have 2 onboard cameras for you tonight. Is it a huge problem that these guys only get one little hot lap session, the majority of the guys in the A feature?
Well, for the guys that do it a lot, not really, but it can be an advantage. You know, the guys that just came off the B main, they were last on the racetrack. Now you can bet, like I said, guys will go down and now they're all stuck with the same right rear tire, the M3 American Racer, but the left rear they can choose different compounds. So all these crews, Tyler Swank and all these guys went down and looked at those 4 B main cars to see what the heat was in the left rear tire and make a call from there. But they can adjust the stagger up and down, which means a bigger or smaller left rear tire. That could be the key on getting forward by. If you go too big, the car's going to be too tight. It's going to push. That scrubs off all your speed through the corners. You go too small, the car's going to be loose and hang out. So, again, it's just kind of that fine line of getting that setup right.
It's kind of unusual that in this form of racing, really the series, the track, the sanctioning body controls just that one tire, that big right rear. The other 3, it's pretty much up to you, whichever brand you choose to run. We see Hoosiers, we see Goodyears, we see American Racer, whichever one you decide you want to choose. All right, we know what's happening with the tires. How about the drivers and their emotions and the pressure that we talked about earlier today as we see Nate sitting in his car ready to go? Nate Mosier, how are these guys dealing with all this?
The butterflies are definitely churning in their stomachs right now. They are so excited, so nervous. Their heart rate's up, the breathing's up. But once they get fired, they're just let's go. They're just wanting to get this thing fired off and go to the green flag. Once the green flag drops, you're in your element as a race car driver. That's what you focus on doing. All this stuff leading up to it can drive you crazy. Let's just go racing.
You saw Johnny Anderson, nicknamed Johnny Lightning. There's the Rocket, Jesse Hockett. That's the other great thing about sprint car drivers. Guys with nicknames. Boy, we miss that in today's world of big-time professional racing a lot. And I love the fact that these sprint car guys get these great nicknames. Johnny Lightning, Johnny Rocket. It's awesome. It's good, fun stuff. Zach Chappell will be behind the wheel of that 50Z. Spent a lot of time doing some ARCA racing this year. Big difference between a heavy stock car and what he's in tonight.
I talked to him quite a bit about that last night. He took the Andy Hillenberg's fast track driving school. Other than that, got out of a sprint car into a big heavy stock car on the big speedways. I said, man, that had to be, totally out of your element. What was it like? I said, you just sit out there and drive it around. If the car's right, it's fairly easy. If the car's not right, he said that's where he struggles with the race. He doesn't know what to tell his crew chief on what the car's doing and how to fix it.
For those that are new to sprint car racing, Brad, we're seeing the push trucks getting these cars going. Explain quickly the starting process of one of these cars. You don't just turn the key.
Well, they lock them in gear. As again, there's no starters. They just lock them in gear. It's basically in and out in the rear end of these things. 1 gear ratio, no transmissions, no clutch pedal. They lock them gear. Push truck fires them, pushes them like that. They watch the oil pressure come up. They turn the fuel on. They hit a kill switch. That fires the magneto, and away they go. And if it's done right, as it is here at Knoxville, all the cars have a push truck. There's a kind of a controversy about starters and that kind of thing. To me, real sprint cars don't have starters. They'll never need them.
I'm with you on that one. And I like that's one of the things that helps make this the sprint car capital of the world. They get every little detail just right at this place. Stay with us. We're getting ready for the 360 Knoxville Nationals right after this. The cars are idling around the Knoxville Raceway, the big fast half mile here in South Central Iowa. Ralph Shaheen along with Brad Doty, Dave Argerbright, and Tony Bachhoven with you. Here's a look at our A feature starting grid. Once again, Billy Alley and Jake Peters on the front row. Dusty Zomer, who won last night here. Zach Chappell in the 50Z alongside of him. Ricky Logan and Brian Brown, a former track champion in row 3. Going back to the Rocket, Jesse Hockett, and Nate Mosier back there as well in row 4. Brad, these guys are getting ready to do the salute to the fan as we continue to look through the field. And you've always told me this is one of the trickiest parts of the night for a sprint car driver.
Well, on a big speedway like this, it's not so bad. It's really wide here at Knoxville, but you get on a little quarter mile or little bull ring, and you're idling around there like that. With the stagger of the car, it's constantly wanting to pull the car left, severely to the left. Sometimes it's hard to not bang wheels just lining up like this.
Again, that's the difference between that big right rear and the smaller left rear. Just pulls everything over there.
And we've talked about it so many times. If you take a styrofoam or a paper cup, you lay it on its side and you roll it, it always turns toward the small end of the cup. That's exactly what the rear end in these cars, it's not a slip rear end, it's a solid rear axle. So when it rolls around the corner, the left rear, it's got to drag that left rear a little bit. There's no limited slip into the rear end. So again, it's locked down, so they got to get that staggered just right.
Before we go racing, let's check in one more time with Dave Argerbright.
You know, Ralph, I'm really pumped. This is going to be a great race. I can just feel it in the air that this is going to be a great one. With one exception, if Billy Alley shows us anything like the performance of last night, he might just spank him again. But let me go with a guy that we haven't talked much about. He's starting right on the front row alongside of Billy. I think Jake Peters just may be the dark horse tonight. We'll watch and see what he can do.
Well, that's actually a pretty good pick, the driver of the 57X. I mean, he says he's a bit of a dark horse, but he's very, very familiar with this racetrack. 2004 Knoxville 360 champion. He knows how to get around this place. They call him the Snake, another good nickname.
And he's leading the points right now here at Knoxville with 360 points. The key, if Billy Alley's as fast as he was last night and gets out front, the key is going to be lap traffic. Everybody else is going to hope that he gets tied up in a heavy lap traffic, and then they can make their move.
Billy said one thing as a guy starting to speed up a little bit, get fanned out here. In his interview earlier on tonight with Dave, he mentioned the fact that sometimes you don't get to see where the other guy is when you're leading all night, and you miss some of the good spots on the racetrack.
Sometimes it can be a disadvantage to lead from every lap because you're out there, you think you're feeling comfortable. Again, you don't know how far, if you could be a straightaway out front and you don't know it, or they could be right behind you. Now, if they get beside you, you can see them or you can hear them, but you don't know, so you're out front, you feel comfortable. They have no choice but to move around back there to try to find a faster line to catch you. They may find something on the racetrack and sneak by you on a faster line before you even know it. And sometimes, again, it can be a big advantage in lap traffic running second because the leader gets tied up. You just go to the opposite direction and hopefully get by it.
Gary Wright giving us this look from the number 9 with our John Deere onboard camera. Kurt Michael carrying the other camera for us tonight, our Napa camera, in his number 99. 25 laps is what we're scheduled for here tonight, and the honor of being called the 360 Knoxville Nationals champion. Here we go, coming to the green. Everybody makes it through 1 and 2. Down the backstretch we go. Billy Alley is out front already in the yellow 22. And Brad, that's what everybody didn't want to see.
But again, they got to hope he gets into lap traffic and gets bobbed up a little bit. Maybe they can catch him, but it's early in this race.
Dusty Zomer, the white 1Z upstairs, right there. He holds down 3rd position right now. Zach Chappell right behind him in the white and red 50Z. You see Ricky Logan coming in there in the black 7L. They're kind of fanning out. Good battle going on back there. Brian Brown's in that mix in the black 21.
Tell you somebody who's blasting through the field, Ricky Stenhouse. Watched him on the first couple laps passing cars. He's up to about 15th spot. He's on the charge also.
There's Brian Brown sitting back there in that black 21. Trying to work his way through, puts the slide job on Ricky Logan. That'll give him a position, as Brownie will tell you, nothing beats 21 blackjack.
It's a good number, a good color. He's making it work. As he's on the bottom,
he's going all over this racetrack, Brad, and that's what you got to do. Go where the other guy is not. He goes to the bottom and picks off Zach Chappell. That'll move him up another position.
Boy, he's working well. They picked the right stagger. They've got that car tuned well. He is going all over the racetrack. See him there again on the bottom.
He works with his grandfather, George Lasowski, who helps tune that car and get him ready to go racing. The combination of grandfather and grandson working here tonight, but boy, nobody looks better than Billy Alley right now. The driver who won here last night in the preliminary night action, pulling out a good, healthy lead. The driver out of Lincoln, Nebraska, just 22 years of age.
Boy, and a lead he has, too. He is just really pulled away.
Up to 3.3 seconds and growing every lap for the former Eagle Raceway champion. Now he's getting into some traffic too, Brad. That's going to force him to sift around a little. That's Langerud in the 56.
Yeah, but he gets by clean. As Brian Brown has gotten by.
Brown has picked off another spot, but we continue to watch the battle up front there. Billy Alley working his way through lap traffic deeper in the field. Here comes Brian Brown. Now Brown is up to third, and he's working Jake Peters and slides him for the second position.
Well, we talked about it early, man. Anywhere he wants to go, Ralph, that car is fast. Now, he's got into second place. This is where he desperately needs a caution flag to get up on the back bumper of Billy Alley.
We mentioned the fact that Brian Brown is a former 360 Series track champion. He's third here this year at Knoxville in the 410 Series. Oh, and Billy Alley looked like he smacked the wall, and there's the yellow, Brad. We see one car turned around over in turn 4, and that is just what we need for Brian Brown, as Nick Mosier is the one who's around over in turns 3 and 4. And Billy Alley sees a almost 4.5 second lead disappear like that.
Boy, 4.5 seconds. It was just 3 point something, just a few laps earlier.
Gary Wright giving us a look again off that John Deere camera. And there's Kurt Michael. He's got the Napa camera for us tonight. Kurt Michael, the driver out of the East Coast, having a great season back there. Right now, Kurt has worked his way up to 17th. Hasn't been here for almost 10 years. Talking to him earlier, says it's been 8 years since the last time he was here. Billy Alley will be looking forward to coming back. Stay with us. Hope you will too. We're back to Knoxville, working our way through the A feature. No laps count under yellow. There will be 16 left to go when we get back to racing action. Let's head downstairs now. Dave Arterbright.
You know, Ralph, a yellow flag always kind of shuffles the deck in a short track race like this, but especially with these cars. These 360s run a little bit harder right rear tire than most, and at all the times you worry about that heat cycle when the tires cool down. When you get them hot again, are they going to work? But watch that 40 car. Man, he is coming through the field. He may be yet a guy to watch.
Dave, he came from 22nd. He's all the way up to 9th. Of course, that's Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in that 40R. That young man is charging through the field. And Jonathan Allard, who won the B feature, is coming right with him. He's sitting in 10th, the driver out of Chico, California.
They were first and second into B main, running 9th and 10th now.
Here we go, back to green. Billy Alley leads Brian Brown to the field across the line. Brown goes way upstairs in that black 21. Jake Peters switches with him, and now he's riding up along the fence as they come screaming through 3 and 4. Mike Peters is really mounting a charge against Brian Brown. Jake the Snake, as they call him, running up along the fence, way upstairs. What's it like up there, Brad, in that dark cushion?
Well, it's really in good shape right now. It's not a big berm, just some nice moisture up there. It's really good running up there. Brian Brown looked like it took him a lap or two to maybe get his momentum back on that bottom. See Gary Wright on the bottom. There are also cars running very, very tight on the bottom and some on the top.
Gary Wright in the number 9 runs in 5th, battling with Dusty Zomer over 4th position. And right now, you got to give that to Gary Wright, the Dreamweaver.
Started
Another
10th.
great nickname.
Yes, and started 10th. So he's another guy still moving forward. A lot of laps still left in this race.
There's There's Gary Wright working on that 11th national championship this year. Unbelievable the career the driver that number 9 has had.
But unfortunately for the rest of them, Billy Alley checking out again, pulling away from him.
About a second and a half gap now between him and Brian Brown. There's Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He's still holding down 9th in that red 40R. There's Billy Alley. Boy, this guy is so good. Won this event here last year. Well on his way to doing it again, and now Brian, he's running on the bottom. And look at the traffic back here. Kurt Michael in there in that white 99. Kurt Michael sits back in 19th, make that 18th position now. And you're on board with him with our Napa camera. Right in the middle of that fight. Looks like he's battling with John Vandenberg and Bronson Mason back there. And Billy Alley continuing to pull away from Brian Brown.
Big battle still going on back here as they're 2 and 3 wide, running all over the racetrack.
That's Michael on the bottom, Mason right in the middle in that purple and neon orange kind of colors. Here's Lauren Langerud about to get lapped in that 56 as Billy Alley comes by on the bottom of the yellow 22.
But again, watch Billy Alley run around the bottom there. The car sticks really nice. You don't see the back of the car hanging out too much. It's not pushing. He can drive this car anywhere he wants to go.
But you know, somewhere back there is Brian Brown with about 8 laps to go. Although there are no rear view mirrors on these cars, he really doesn't know how big that gap is because he's not getting any communication from the crew either.
No, he doesn't. Again, so Brian Brown's moving around on the racetrack, but Gary Wright's also moved up into 3rd place now. So again, these guys, it's all seat of the pants, Ralph. You just have to feel where your race car is slipping. If you got too much wheel spin or the car's running too sideways in a certain groove, you got to move it.
Brian Brown is not that far behind him, just a second and a half back. If just any slip up comes for our leader, Brown is going to be all over him.
And he is closing in on him.
Gary Wright right there in that number 9. There's that battle for the lead. There's Brown upstairs in the black 21. On the bottom is Billy Alley, who's stumbling a little bit on the bottom, and Brown's getting a much better drive up the corners upstairs.
But you can see how far around it is on the top. It's a real wide racetrack here at Knoxville, so to run that top, you're taking a big wide sweep up there, but if you can keep the rear tires, now Billy Alley goes up there himself.
Billy Alley figuring that line might be better. He slides up, and we've got a yellow. And a car up along the fence over in turn number 2 with a flat right rear, and guess what? It's Mosier again.
Yeah, this time more than a spin. As you can see, the right rear tire, now whether he hit the wall first to blew that tire or the tire let go, we don't know at this point, but it's definitely flat.
All right, you're Brian Brown. You reeled him in after he pulled away from you, so you know you can get him, but it took quite a few laps to do that. Now you've only got 5. And Billy Alley doesn't really know how close Brian Brown got to him. So you're these two, what do you do?
Well, now, Billy Alley, one thing about the scoreboard here, it's down to back straightaway. The drivers can see it as they go down to back straightaway. They know how many laps are left. They know who's behind them and that kind of thing. Now, Billy Alley's been fast, but he's had a nice rhythm going. He has to keep that rhythm going. If he makes any mistake, Brian Brown can pounce on him. But Dave Argerbright said earlier about these hard right rear tires. Sometimes under caution like this, that hard rubber will seal up. You go back to green, and the wheel spin is just tremendous. You don't touch anything. So we'll just have to wait and see. If one of these guys' tires seals up, it's going to change the race dramatically.
I think the area where Billy Alley's been strongest has been on his restarts. That's where he's opened up his biggest gaps. He'll have to do it one more time when we come back to Knoxville. Welcome back to Speed Channel's coverage of the 360 Knoxville Nationals. We are the television home of the Knoxville Raceway. Get to see all the big motorsports events out of this famous half-mile Midwest mecca of mud.
Speaking of mud, you can see a little bit of it there on our in-car camera up on the lens there, splattered on it.
Here's Lauren Langer. Just good to see him racing here tonight after a vicious flip last night after contact with Dusty Zomer. Dusty is running in 6th, Lauren in 23rd tonight. Here's your rundown right now. It's Billy Alley, Brian Brown, Gary Wright up to 3rd. The Dreamweaver maybe going to sneak a win out of this one tonight. Jake Peters, Jesse Hawkins, Dusty Zomer as we go back to green with just 5 to go. Brown goes upstairs around the outside. Can he keep the momentum up? Alley trying to hold him off, comes sliding back across the nose. Brown now to the bottom in 3 and 4. Slide job, he's got the lead. Can he make it stick? Not off the corner. Oh, that's great racing.
Tell you, Brian Brown had nothing to lose, but I really didn't think he was close enough to try a slide job. But you can see he turned the car really sideways, got up in front of Billy Alley, it killed his momentum. Alley was able to turn the car. His car is so strong, he was able to drive right back by.
He had to throw everything at him, and he did. Now Gary Wright's closing in on the bottom in the number 9, and he's going to challenge Brian Brown for second place as we go on board the John Deere camera. Gary Wright working the bottom beautifully here in Knoxville, and that veteran experience starting to pay off, Brad.
Well, he went in on the bottom. He didn't try the slide job. He stayed on the bottom, a lot of moisture out, and yes, he gets by. Brian Brown looked like his car's slowing at this time, whether he's got the regular too hot or what, but that car is slowing down.
He might have used it up, mounting that challenge for the win. The 98 360 Nationals champion, Gary Wright. Oh, we got another yellow, a car slowing over in turn number 4, but the white flag is out and the yellow. So guess what? Billy Alley's going to have to do it again as the 7N slows down. That car is going to be John Vandenberg. So Vandenberg brings out the final yellow of the night, and Billy Alley this time, Brad, is going to have to fend off Gary Wright.
And I don't care who you are and how many laps you've led, when you think you're coming for the checkered or last lap, you do not want to see a caution flag.
Well, and Billy Alley knows he's had to fight off Brian Brown twice. He doesn't necessarily know what Gary Wright can do. A couple more cars having some trouble.
Well, we just talked about the drivers. Look, see,
over in turn 2.
I believe this was maybe after the caution flag, but I just mentioned earlier, Ralph, about the drivers looking at the scoreboard, knowing who's behind them. Now Billy Alley's looking at the scoreboard, and he sees the 9 car, the famous Gary Wright car back there. You have to wonder if...
Yep, there's Mason. He was one of the cars involved in there, and it looks like Eric Job is the other one. So Bronson Mason crawls out of the 96. Remember, he transferred through from the B, and there's Eric Job's 23X. Dave Argerbright.
Brad, you are exactly right. I assure you, going down that backstretch, Billy Alley sees that 9 right behind the 22, and I'm sure he's saying, oh, man, anybody but Wright. This right here, this restart, is going to be a great test for the poise of young Billy Alley to see if he can hold off that veteran.
Well, welcome back to the Knoxville 360 Nationals. Guys, I know you've been talking about the veteran Gary Wright chasing the youngster Billy Alley, but let me tell you, he's raced here weekly. He's won a track championship here. I know that has to have boosted Billy's confidence.
Well, that could be the key. Yes, can't not make any mistakes. He's going to have to try to focus on his race and his race only and forget about Gary Wright behind him. He's going to have to hit his marks. If he gets in on the bottom, misses it by too much and slides up, he can leave the door wide open for Gary Wright on the bottom. Now, if he goes in on the top and slips again too much and Gary's on the bottom, he can possibly drive by. I'll tell you, as a driver, you never know for sure what to do, go to the bottom or go to the top.
Here's why he doesn't want Gary Wright behind him. He's 46 years of age out of Hooks, Texas, the 98 360 National winner. He currently leads the ASCS points. He's a 2004 ASCS champion. He's got 90 career ASCS wins. He's a 2003 360 Driver of the Year, has around, say, 250 wins altogether, and he's a 9-time NCRA champion, 2 Knoxville 360 wins, and 3 410 wins here. Hall of Fame? You betcha.
Well, he's also had 5 wins coming into this week. Wednesday night he ran third. He ran second last night.
5 straight?
5 straight, yes. 5 straight wins. Then a third, then a second last night. Here he is running second again.
Yeah. I said 90 career ASCS wins. Actually, it's 100 now. He's got that 100th. So, wow. Gary Wright, how tough can you get? And just in front of him, Billy Alley. Younger, but no slouch. No doubt about it. The man who won this event last year, looking to do it back-to-back seasons.
And also, this is what we talked about a little while ago, Ralph, even whether you're in lap traffic or not. The pressure's on Billy Alley to figure out which line he's going to take. If Gary Wright's close enough, he'll just go to the opposite line. It's a no-brainer. So wherever Billy Alley goes, Gary Wright will probably go the opposite. If he's close enough, he thinks he can get around him.
Well, if you're Billy Alley, which one would you want to take?
Well, he's going to start off the bottom, coming off the turn 4 on the bottom, and I'd say the way he's been looking, the car's been looking, the shortest way around is the bottom. I think I'd try to hug the bottom and make Gary Wright go around me on the top.
He spent most of the night running the bottom, has done it very well. Of course, we saw Gary Wright make his way up there on the bottom as well. Here we go. 1 lap to go. Green flag. Brian Brown goes to the outside. Everybody else tucks to the bottom. That works for Brian Brown. He gathers up second place right back. Here we come. The white flag is out. Final time around, and Gary Wright regains second place.
I don't know if Gary Wright's engine just didn't take off or what. Looks like it stumbled down in 1 and 2, and Brian Brown went around him, but he's running out of laps here, it looks like.
And Brown lost all of his momentum. Billy Alley slides up to the high side. Gary Wright comes to the line off the bottom. Billy Alley's going to win the Knoxville 360 Nationals for the second year in a row. Gary Wright does a tremendous job to come up through the field. He started 10th. He finishes second here tonight. Brian Brown will finish third. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., what a run he had. Started 22nd, finishes fourth. Dusty Zomer picked up his first career Knoxville A feature win last night. He gets a top 5 here tonight. Boy, Billy Alley quickly making himself a name for being the man to beat when it comes to 360 racing here at quite possibly the most famous sprint car track in the world.
Oh, absolutely, and a lot of us, people that saw our live coverage last year of the Knoxville Nationals, remember the in-car camera, the vicious crash he had coming out of turn 2 last year. Everybody got to ride along with him. This all makes up for that right now.
2 years in a row, he wins the biggest 360 race on the planet at the sprint car capital of the world. We'll meet him when we come back. The 2005 Knoxville 360 Nationals are being brought to you by the Knoxville Raceway, the sprint car capital of the world.
Yeah, baby, yeah!
Welcome back to Knoxville. You're in Victory Lane with Billy Alley. And boy, is he ever excited. Hi, Mom.
Yeah!
He's going to have a lot of people to say hi to when he crawls out of that car. And our pit reporters are right there to introduce you to the winner. First thing he's got to go through is the scales over there, Brad. He's got to make weight.
1,375 pounds with the driver. They do that, spec these things out, make sure that car is nice and legal. If he passes all that, he goes to victory lane.
You're going right with him onto the scales. So while we wait for that to get taken care of, and everybody's gathering up in victory lane, and then as soon as Billy clears the scales, they'll push him around. Well, what do you think of this young man, Brad? How impressed are you with his performance?
He really looks good, you know, and he was in the Phillips 66 car for a while, and as he said earlier, things just didn't work out there. He's back in his own car, things he's familiar with. What a happy young man.
Friends and crew, and he's not even going to wait for the ride around. He's going to go right to victory lane. Here he comes out onto the front straightaway where the victory lane area is, and I saw our Dave Argabright down there. Now we just got to get him over the hedges and into victory lane. There he is. He'll make his way to the top step of the podium and get another huge trophy. All right, Dave, take it away.
They bring the car with you to victory lane, but whatever, you're here. 4 years of racing and 2 360 Nationals championships at Knoxville Raceway. Tremendous showing tonight, but I got to ask you, 4 laps to go. Brian Brown slides you and takes the lead momentarily. What went through your mind?
I better get going. No, Brian Brown's he's had a tremendous year. He's one heck of a race car driver, and there's one thing that we've been dicing it out week to week to week, and I think it was my turn to win because he had won like 3 in a row. He's one heck of a racer. He races clean, and I know he's bummed out because he's one heck of a competitor, but it was a great race. The prestige of this race is something else, and to win it 2 years in a row with the competition here at Knoxville Race with the Sprint Car Capital Rule is Sprint Car Capital of the world. It is great.
Now I got to ask you too. You come to take the white flag, but instead you get a yellow. You look up on that scoreboard, you see Gary Wright right behind you. What were you concerned?
I was thinking, this guy's won more races than I raced in. I knew I better not screw up. It just, there's one advantage I had is I race here on a weekly basis. Gary Wright, he's down in Texas on them small tracks, and I figured he was running the bottom. Was he running the bottom and picking off cars, or was he running the top?
Well, a little bit of both, mostly on the bottom, but you didn't see him, so I guess that didn't matter.
Well, a master like Gary Wright, now the bottom was or not, I figured that's where he was running, but I tell you what, coming out of turn 4, I really goofed up. I didn't come off straight, and I spun my tires, and I thought, oh, man. So I hit the bottom good in 1 and 2, and then I knew if we led the first lap, we'd have a pretty good shot at it. So, I feel really good.
It was probably a little bit more than oh my, but that's okay. You won it the first time last year. This is the one that backs it up. Which is sweeter?
This one definitely. Last year it got rained out and it kind of drug on. We ran our qualifying night and then it drug on, and I won the race, but I started on the pole that night too. And I didn't really realize what it meant, and until it was afterwards. So going into the night with 120 cars showing up here, the best cars around the country, I knew I better have my elbows up and my feet working right, and we put it all together. My crew chief, Bob Richard, and my dad, Stuart, and my whole family, my fiance, Aislinn, and Speedway Motors, they backed me up. Greg Nichols helped me put together a race car, and Westmont Racing Ninjas, man, they run strong week to week, and, we've had a very, very humbling year, and it's been overcoming a lot of adversity, and I tell you what, this is true a race to turn it around.
A great night to turn it around for Billy Alley. Great win. Tony Bachhoben, let's hear from you.
Gary, you came from 10th tonight. You came a long ways and really drove hard. Did that late race yellow hurt you?
I think it did. It took me 2 or 3 laps to get going, but after, we got a lap or 2 in, the tire come in, and it was great. So we just needed a little more time. But it's tough starting 10th because Billy's really fast here, and but we got close.
Almost got that 101st win tonight.
We were trying hard. Once I got into 3rd, I said we got a shot to win this, and I just messed up. It just took a lap 2 for my car to come in and go, and the first lap I was just hanging on and went back to 3rd, and then I finally got back to 2nd after the tire heated back up. But anyway, we'll take 2nd, so we'll go on to the next race.
Good job tonight.
Thanks a lot.
Let's go to Dave Argabray.
Brian Brown, you just about did it, took the lead, and then it slipped away. What happened?
First of all, I want to thank Billy Alley. He's a heck of a racer, and he definitely deserved that one. We were real good before that last caution. It seemed like we had a little bit harder compound than other guys on. We had a 12, and it kind of sealed up a little bit and kind of hurt our fade a little bit. But we had a good slide job there, and I kind of got it crossed up, and he let him get back by me. And this Joel Caff and Andrew Maxim is still working great. I'm very proud of Tim, Gina, and the whole team, Terry. Like I said, out of 120 cars, I guess third's not we want to win, but third's nothing to be ashamed of. So thank for all the people coming out also. This is keep supporting this deal so we can keep having it. Thanks Speed Channel. Just thank everyone. Just there's always next year a first, fourth, and a third so far this week. So we're looking all right. Our big goal is to be in the top 10 next Saturday night, and we'll see what happens.
The pace of this race was a little bit unusual. Very few yellows, very clean race. Did that surprise you, those long runs?
No, it didn't surprise me. It actually, I wish we could have ran 50 laps nonstop. I think I could have won because I was running them back down. And then the yellow came out, and then all of a sudden, like I said, I think my tires sealed up a little bit, or maybe I missed a line a couple times. But like I said, we're very proud of this Wise Guys team, and like I said, we're not going to hang our head. We're just going to use this as momentum towards next week, and we'll be back.
Normally, a great finish at a great event like this is cause for celebration. But when you're having such a great season that you're having, does that make it difficult anytime when you don't win?
Yeah, that's the one thing about it. When I was out there on the Outlaw deal, every night it's almost like I hated to go and race. It wasn't fun anymore. Now I'm back where, every time I rolled out of the trailer, if something doesn't happen, I think we got a good shot to win, and that's very important. The main thing is I'm having fun, and that's what it's all about. Last year I wasn't. Now we are, and when you're having fun, good things are going to happen. And like I said, this team is just awesome, and I'm just very happy to be a part of it.
Well, he is having fun. Good finish for Brian Brown. Ralph?
That it was, Dave, and success like they're having this season, or Billy Alley or Gary Wright, will make you smile.
Oh, absolutely. That all these guys, it was just a heck of a race, and they made it exciting. Billy Alley, out front there, we needed some of these cautions, and they came at the right time, but those guys couldn't capitalize on it. Billy Alley put it on them again.
Yes, he did. All right, stay with us. We're not done from Knoxville just yet. More coming your way here on Speed Channel. We're are back to Knoxville Raceway, the Marion County Fairground. You can see some of the haulers coming in to gather up the cars. One of the neat things about sprint car racing is when the races are over, they open the gates up here in Knoxville, and all the fans get to go down, see the cars up close, and meet the drivers. And you can be sure there'll be a long line for autographs and T-shirts from this guy right here, Billy Alley, winning his second 360 Knoxville Nationals 2 years in a row. He stood on top of the top step here in Victory Lane. Well, we had some great charges from the back of the field to the front, but I think the best one was Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Started 22nd, finished second in the B feature, ends up fourth tonight. Tony Bachhoven.
Ralph, he's only 17 years old. He said this is his fourth time at Knoxville. Ricky, tell us about that run from 22nd. Great job tonight.
Yes, sir. We had a good run. Always need a good run when you come to big races like this, boost your confidence. We just started sixth in the B and ran up to second. Thought we had it won there for a minute until coming off the four. We started 22nd in the feature and was just picking them off one by one. Got a real good start and ran the bottom and picked off a bunch. And then on the restarts, we were real good getting into one and coming off of two. And we just kept picking our way. And like to have one more to get on the podium, but we'll take fourth.
Are you a momentum racer? Is the bottom where you wanted to be? You mentioned you picked off a bunch of cars one by one. Is that how you typically like to do it?
Well, I'm more of a person who wants to run around the cushion. Being young and on the gas, I mean, it's tough to run the bottom, especially at a place like this where it's real high speed. You got to finesse the car to run the bottom. And I was kind of scared that we were using up too much tire running around the top in the slick, but it looks like it did all right.
You've been here a couple times this year. You talk about that finesse around the bottom. Is that why you guys came early, to get some laps on Knoxville and maybe figure out the track a little bit?
Yes, sir. We came the first weekend, ran the 360 race, started 12th in the feature, and really started running the bottom there towards the end and kept picking them off. We ended up sixth in it, and that really helped me a lot around here running the bottom.
Fourth at the 360 Nationals. How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel good. Boosts my confidence for the 410 Nationals. And I'd just like to thank J&J, Fast Effects, Butler Built, Bell, Dynotech Performance builds a great motor. Pro Shocks. I mean, just couldn't do it without all them, and Jeff Buckner.
Keep your eye on the 17-year-old. He's going to make some moves through the season. Let's go to Dave.
Dusty Zomer comes home fifth. You had a great night last night, and it was your birthday and all, but was the race what you expected?
You know, it really was. You know, I knew Billy was going to be fast. I knew there were some veterans that I was starting around that were going to be really quick. You know, it's kind of being fresh in this deal or whatever. I think we ran really well. You know, I had basically 7th, 8th place car, and there last caution went green, white checker. I ended up getting up to 5th. So after winning last night, we'll take a top 5 tonight. You know, you come into the show, you know, there's over 100 cars. You shoot for making the main event right away, and then you know, after that you set your goals. You'll top 10, top 5, and the main event tonight, taking a top 5, we'll take it. You know, we're a young team, hoping to, you know, get a little better as we go.
So you're pretty happy overall with the weekend? It's kind of a learning experience.
Yeah, it really was. You know, like I say, last night was really good. There's really, you know, everyone. There's racing with many veterans out here that have raced this deal for quite a few years, and to be able to race with them and run with them and you know, dice it up a little bit with them, and it was a lot of fun. And winning last night was, you know, we really didn't expect it, but kind of, you know, it really didn't sink in until probably today. You know, I got out, you know, woke up and said, yeah, man, I won that race. That was really cool, you know. And then top 5 tonight, you know, we'll take it.
When you have a great weekend, is it a little bit like golf where you just can't wait to go back at it again?
Yeah, it really is. You know, you have your bad times, you know, and you would just wish, all right, I hope this gets over with, and the good times start kicking in. But the last few weeks we've been running really well. We've run, you know, we run here weekly. We've come from the back up to the front. We've been slowly starting to figure some stuff out. The track conditions for this deal gets a little different just because you have so many more cars, and you got to adapt to them. And like, you know, we're a young team, and being kind of a younger driver, learning to get, you know, the feel of everything around this big half mile. It's a lot of fun, and right now I think we're on an uphill, and we're going forward.
You know, Ralph and Brad, a lot of young racers had a great showing here this weekend. Really bodes well for the future of 360 sprint car racing here at Knoxville. Let's go back upstairs.
Dave, the scary thing to me right now is that you and I are actually thinking alike. That's exactly what I was going to bring up to you, Brad. the oldest guy that made it onto the top of the podium tonight, or near the top of the podium, was Gary Wright in his 40s. But outside of that, the next oldest guy is Billy Alley, like 22 years of age. I mean, we saw young teenagers there, all very fast, all very pleasant, great young guys that we can really hang our hat on for the future of sprint car racing. Well, we'll be right back with more. There's one of those guys right there we'll be talking a lot about, 22-year-old Billy Alley. Welcome back to Knoxville Raceway. The lights are still on and the teams are loading up the cars, getting ready to head to the car wash. That's the next step in all of sprint car racing. Got to go to the car wash, get the cars clean, get all that mud off there. Ralph Shaheen, Brad Doty with you once again. And Brad, just before we went to that last commercial break, you were talking about young Ricky Stenhouse.
Well, I talked to him last night, and he kept calling me sir, and it's making me feel old, so I was glad to hear him calling Tony Bachhoven sir. That's just the polite young man, 17 years old. What a talent.
Very young driver, and a lot of them in action here tonight. And let's touch base one more time with Tony Bachhoven.
Well, thanks, guys. Our outside front row starter, Jake Peters, tonight, Jake, came home sixth, a little bit short of where you wanted to be.
Yeah, we're disappointed with that. We had the right starting spot. Seemed like I couldn't work the bottom of the racetrack at all. When I did, I just lose ground, and I had a pretty good pace on the top. And on that last restart, I went across the bottom thinking maybe I could sneak in on somebody, and it didn't work for me, and I backed up 2 more. So, we didn't have the right car for the racetrack tonight, and then I did a bad job there at the end. So 6th is what we end up with, and we'll come back tomorrow and see if we can get a win.
Talk about getting around the bottom. You said you went across the bottom and tried to get by somebody.
Well, there at the end, we were in that restart with 2 to go, our green-white checker, and I thought, well, my only shot, I've been running the top down there and losing ground on that end, and I thought if I could sneak in on the bottom and stick the bottom, maybe them guys would get racing there, and I'd slip by 1 or 2 of them, but ended up hurting me. I couldn't get off that corner and spun the tires on the back straightaway and got past. So, we're disappointed with it, but what do you do? I guess we'll roll it back on a trailer. We didn't crash it, so it's not that bad.
Let's go back upstairs.
Well, maybe he's trying to steal a little of the momentum there from Billy Alley. He's sporting a Billy Alley t-shirt.
That's one thing about these sprint car drivers. They all trade each other's T-shirts, kind of help each other out there and promote the other drivers.
Well, let's take a look at the top 10 once again from tonight's show. And, of course, Billy Alley is at the top of that list. And what a run he had here tonight. Gary Wright, once again, the wily old veteran, showing he is not slowing down at all.
Yeah, coming from 10th with a good second-place run there.
And then these 3 youngsters right here, Brian Brown, Ricky Stenhouse, and Dusty Zomer, all 4 of them in the top 5 with Billy Alley. Really look like we've got some strong young talent to keep an eye on in the coming years.
The future's looking good for sprint car racing.
Jonathan Allard, another one of those drivers who won the B feature, came from near the tail end of this field, started 21st, I believe it was, and ended up making it all the way up to 7th. And Danny Wood filling in tonight gets a good run in his one-time shot in that car.
Yeah, the super sub there, subbing for Wayne Johnson, started in the back. Also a good run for him up in 9th.
And the Rocket, Jesse Hockett, finishing in 8th with Jake Johnson grabbing the last spot in the top 10 tonight in car number 41. Well, it was another exciting 360 Knoxville Nationals. What'd you think?
Oh, I think it was great racing, and as we talked about those young guys, I mean, next year these guys are going to be 1 year older and maybe a little smarter, a little faster on the racetrack. It's going to be a good year next year also.
Could Billy Alley make it 3 in a row?
Well, I don't know. I tell you, the way he looked tonight, it's very possible. He is on a roll this year, that's for sure.
That he is. Well, thanks for joining us here tonight on Speed Channel from the Knoxville 360 Nationals. For Tony Bachhoven and Dave Argerwright, my colleague Brad Doty, I'm Ralph Shaheen saying so long from Knoxville and congratulations to Billy Alley.